Hi, I'm Summer Porlakani, aka Intimate Matters on the World Wide Web. I'm a sex therapist in Austin, Texas, and a disabled, neurodivergent, queer, kinky, and polyamorous woman of color who's been doing this work personally and professionally for, well, a long time. Let me start by saying I'm so excited to be part of 100 Days of Sex Ed. And if it looks like I'm reading a script, it's because I am. At first, I wondered if I needed to seem like I wasn't. And then I realized that that's silly. And we're here to talk about bringing your full self and communicating your full needs. And this is what I need. So let's get started. I want to talk about something we don't explore nearly enough: what able bodied people can learn from disabled folks about consent and communication while dating. Disabled people have had to become really good at the type of communication that can make dating, intimacy, and sex better for everyone. We don't get to coast on assumptions. We have to talk about needs, comfort, capacity, and care. And honestly, that I don't consider that a burden. I think that's a blueprint. We've had to figure out how to survive and connect while navigating pain, fatigue, medical trauma, access issues, sensory overload. Take your pick. And the beautiful thing is that survival has taught us to be intentional. It's taught us to speak up, to listen differently, and to ask questions people don't always think to ask. So, this is an invitation to do dating and consent in a way that actually works for everyone. It's that the things that people think are awkward, those things actually build trust, connection, and great sex. And like I always say, awkward is my authentic, so I just lean into it. Consent is a disability skill already. When people hear consent, they often think about it in like the narrowest possible way, like it only kicks in as we're about to start having sex, or that it's just about saying yes or no. But for disabled folks, consent is woven into everyday life. There have been days when I've been using my mobility aid and strangers swoop in like I'm a problem to solve. No warning, no words, just hands on me. And that rattles me even more. So, for example, this has happened countless times at the airport when I'm using wheelchair service and my cane is like going through security with my luggage. And listen, even when I'm in pain or I'm struggling to find my balance, I still get to choose who touches my body. That is what consent is. Now, contrast that with someone who says, "Hey, do you need help? Or would you prefer some space?" That's care. Consent isn't just about sex, it's about how we relate to each other daily. And whether it's deciding if I have enough energy for a date or telling someone I can't be touched a certain way on a flare day, that's all consent work. When I date someone who gets that, whew, that's when the good stuff happens. We have to ask each other questions like, what does your body need today? What feels good and what doesn't? Do you need to rest? Can I ask you about your pain right now? Would you rather do something low energy instead? And the wild thing is, once you start doing that in daily life, it changes your relationships. You get better at speaking up, at listening, at adapting, at advocating. It's not just about surviving, it's about building something sustainable, something honest, and what I think something deeply kind. We're constantly negotiating care, energy, pacing, and space with ourselves and with the people in our lives. And we learn sometimes the hard way how to be clear about what works and what doesn't. So we say things like, that doesn't feel good today, or I want to, but I just can't right now. Here's what would help, and can we adapt this? And just as importantly, we need to respect those answers when we hear them from others. Because for us, consent isn't a one-time checkbox. It's an ongoing practice. That's where the magic is. The honesty, the tenderness, the creativity, it all starts with communication. So where able-bodied folks can miss the mark, that's where things tend to break down, especially when an able-bodied person is dating someone disabled. This isn't about shaming anybody, but it's just patterns I've seen in relationships, in sessions with clients, and if I'm being honest, in my own dating history. So let's start with like the assume and go approach. So let's say you're on a date where everything looks great on paper. Good conversations happening, mutual attraction, good vibes. But by hour 2, one of the two people starts crashing hard, pain and fatigue creeping in fast. So they drop a couple of cues, soft ones, like I might need to head out soon, or I'm hitting a bit of a wall. And the other person responds, "Oh no, we're having so much fun though. You're not bailing, are you?" But that person wasn't bailing, they were communicating their limits. And what the other person heard was rejection, and they were taking it personally. Able-bodied folks sometimes miss that disabled people are already managing a ton behind the scenes. When you assume we'll speak up clearly if something's wrong, you miss the fact that we've been socialized and sometimes medically trained not to make a fuss. And so the responsibility lands on us to be extra clear, extra brave, and extra articulate while also dealing with pain, overstimulation, and anxiety, and any number of other things. And it's just not fair. A simple, "Hey, how are you doing? Do you want to keep going or take a break?" can change everything for us. Because the push through, this is the idea of the push through, right? Especially in sex, that if someone doesn't say no loud and firm, that it's a yes. But many disabled people, and people in general, if let's be honest, are conditioned to override our own discomfort. We've been taught to minimize symptoms, to tolerate what we don't want, or to keep going even when we're dissociating. And that's not consent, that's survival mode. I've worked with clients, some disabled, some not, who've said, "I didn't even realize I could say no in the middle of something." But you can. Absolutely you can, and you should. The people around you should be supporting that, not steamrolling it. When access is treated like a buzzkill, want to see someone's vibe change real fast? Mention you need to take a break, a rain check, need to eat something, take meds, lie down, and watch what happens when the other person thinks you're ruining the mood. A personal example, I once went out on a first date, and then when scheduling the second date, that got rescheduled 3 times. I remember once I was like about to leave, and instead I was just like, I pictured getting in my car, like I had my keys in my hand, and I just felt so drained that I texted and said, "Listen, I'm about to walk out the door, and I'm sure this is incredibly inconvenient, but I just don't have the spoons right now. Like, I'd rather show up as my best self. I'd rather be present, and I'm incredibly disappointed that I'm not able to be right now, but I really need to reschedule." And how that person responded to that made the difference. It's why I kept trying to schedule another date, right? It Intimacy doesn't come from pretending everything's fine. It comes from being seen and supported. The most affirming relationships I've had weren't the ones where people try to fix my needs or pretend they didn't exist. They were the ones when someone said, "Well, what helps you feel more like yourself? How can we make this work together? What do you need right now?" Those are the things that make me feel sexy, make me feel seen, make me feel safe. So what disabled people model brilliantly and what able-bodied people can learn from us is, well, so damn much. Disabled people are relationship innovators, in my humble opinion, and not because we want to be, but because we've had to be. And over time, that turns into wisdom. So here are some things that we do well. We ask more and we ask better. I once had a partner ask me, "Do you want closeness, comfort, or space right now?" And I just melted. That level of clarity, that kind of check-in, yes, please. That's foreplay. Asking doesn't kill the mood. Asking creates the mood. Ask kinky folks this. I'm sure they'd agree. We normalized, "Can I touch you here? How's your body feeling today? Do you want to keep going or do you want to shift gears?" It's not robotic. It's deeply, deeply respectful. And honestly, it's a huge turn on. We expect and respect change. A lot of people are afraid of mixed signals or changing their minds, but disabled folks, we expect flux. Desire, capacity, energy, these are living, moving things. I've had days where I started the day feeling great, and then halfway through, I needed to stop everything. Heck, these things can change within the hour or even minutes for me. And when someone can meet me there with kindness instead of disappointment, that feels really intimate. And what's really even more honest is meeting me with kindness and not hiding the disappointment, but knowing that I'm just as disappointed as you, if not more. That creates a lot of trust. When we practice real consent, we're not chasing a perfect plan. We're building a responsive relationship. That's sustainable and that's sexy. We redefine intimacy. Disabled people often have to get creative about what intimacy looks like. Sometimes that means mutual masturbation instead of penetrative sex. Sometimes it's cuddling on a heating pad or texting sweet nothings because we can't hang out in person. Sometimes it's choosing rest over any plans and still feeling wanted. I used to think that I had to be on to be desirable. Now that I know that being chosen in my full humanity, flaws, fatigue, and all, is way hotter. Plus, I just don't know how to mask anymore. We get to say, this is what I want today. This is how I want to feel. Let's find a version of closeness that fits for both of us. That's what's expansive, that's what's generous, and that's how intimacy grows. So, action steps for able-bodied folks. Let's get to this. I want to challenge you, gently but firmly. If you're able-bodied and you want to be a better lover, partner, dater, even friend, let's start here. Practice asking without fear. Or hell, be afraid anyways. Courage is not the absence of fear, right? So get in the habit of asking questions like, how's your energy? Do you want to pause? Do you need a buffer today? These things aren't awkward. It's a relational maturity to be able to ask each other these honest questions. Respect access needs without making it about you. Because when someone shares a boundary or a need, it's not an attack on your plans or on you as a person. It's an invitation to co-create care. It's an invitation to co-create connection. A better response than, but I was really looking forward to that, is thanks for telling me. How can we adjust it so it works for both of us? Honor no as a full sentence. And yes makes us feel safe. If someone knows you'll listen when they say no, they'll trust you more when you say yes. That trust is everything. And in fact, when people say no to me, I like to say thank you because I want them to feel safe to say no to me. So I almost trust no's more than yeses sometimes. And lastly, let's let go of normal. Normal's overrated. Normal's boring. And I actually say that normal's a setting on a dryer. It's not really real. Let's try intentional. Let's try curious. Let's try kind instead. Disabled people have always had to navigate touch, time, communication, and care in layered ways. That's not a flaw. That's a superpower. We've been doing advanced consent before it was a buzzword, and we've built relationships rooted in real intimacy because it's how we survive, connect, and thrive. So if you're able-bodied and dating someone disabled, or even just trying to show up better in your relationships, take a cue. Learn something from us. Not as a performance and not as a pity, but as partners in building something better. We don't need to be inspirational. We just want you to listen. So thanks for spending time listening to me. Thank you for being here. I hope you leave feeling more curious, more compassionate, and more ready to listen with your whole self. Thank you.